William checked his plasma pistol one last time before stepping into the marble-clad entrance of Duke Valorian's estate. The job was simple. Collect the 50,000 credits the Duke owed to the Merchants Guild, then get off this backwater moon before the local authorities noticed him. He'd done this 100 times before. Knock on the door, flash the debt notice, and walk away with a credit chip. Clean, professional, boring. But nothing about today would go according to plan. The Duke's estate stretched across the crystalline cliffs of Theron 7, a gaudy monument to excess that screamed new money. William had seen enough of these places to know that the more extravagant the architecture, the more desperate the owner was to hide their declining fortunes. Duke Valorian was drowning in debt, and the Merchants Guild had finally lost patience. A servo droid answered the entrance archway, its optical sensors scanning William's credentials. The Duke is currently indisposed. Please schedule an appointment through proper channels. William held up the red-sealed debt notice. This isn't a social call. Guild business. Let me in or I'll come back with authorization to seize assets. The droid's hesitation lasted exactly 2 seconds before the massive doors slid open. William stepped inside, his boots clicking against floors that probably cost more than his ship. The interior was a bizarre fusion of human baroque and something decidedly other. Angular sculptures that seemed to shift when he wasn't looking directly at them. Walls that pulsed with bioluminescent patterns. That's when he saw her. Melissa stood at the top of the grand staircase, and William's breath caught in his throat. She was humanoid, but clearly not human. Her skin had an iridescent quality, shifting between deep violet and azure depending on the light. 4 delicate horns curved back from her temples, and her eyes were like looking into a nebula, swirling with colors that shouldn't exist in nature. She was also holding a travel case and moving with the unmistakable urgency of someone fleeing. "You're here for the Duke's debt," she said, her voice carrying harmonics that made William think of wind chimes and distant stars. It wasn't a question, that's right. "Where is he?" "Dead." She descended the stairs with fluid grace. "Heart failure approximately 3 hours ago. The medical droid is still with the body." William's hand moved to his pistol grip. "Convenient timing. For me?" "Yes." Melissa reached the bottom of the stairs and looked him directly in the eyes. "I need transportation off this moon now, before his family arrives and discovers I'm taking the one thing of value he actually owned." "And what's that?" She tapped her temple. "Knowledge. Specifically, the location of a progenitor vault that the Duke spent his entire fortune trying to find. He was close, very close, but he was also a fool who thought he could cheat the guild and live long enough to reach it." William's pulse quickened. Progenitor vaults were the stuff of legend. Ancient alien repositories filled with technology that made human science look like children playing with rocks. "If she actually knew where one was, why should I believe you?" Melissa pulled a data crystal from her jacket and held it up. The light caught it, revealing swirling patterns that moved like living things. "Because this contains 40 years of research, astronomical data, and the final coordinates. I was the one translating the progenitor texts. Valorian barely understood what he had. You're his wife. The estate belongs to you now." "I was his property," she corrected, her voice dropping to something dangerous. "Purchased from a Jixian slaver when I was 20 cycles old. He married me to make the ownership legal under human law, and now that he's dead, his family will inherit me along with the furniture unless I run." William had seen a lot of ugly things in his years working collection for the guild, but slavery still made his blood boil. Humanity had abolished it centuries ago, but that just meant it happened in shadows now, dressed up in contracts and legal loopholes. He made his decision. "The Duke's debt is 50,000 credits. That's what I came for." He pulled out his portable scanner and pointed it at her data crystal. "That information is worth at least 50,000. We'll call it payment in full." Melissa's eyes widened, nebulas swirling with something that might have been hope. "You'd do that? Falsify a guild report?" "I'd do that." William grinned. "But there's a condition. We find this vault together. 60-40 split my favor since I'm providing the ship and taking the risk." 55-45, she countered immediately. "I provided the information that's worth infinitely more than your ship." "Deal." William extended his hand. William Chen, freelance debt collector and apparent treasure hunter. She took it, her skin surprisingly warm despite its alien appearance. Melissa Crinthal, former property and future archaeologist. They made it to William's ship, a battered but reliable freighter. called the Reasonable Doubt. 15 minutes before Duke, Valorian's brother arrived with a small army of security drones. As they broke orbit, Melissa stood in the cockpit watching Theron 7 shrink behind them. "Thank you," she said quietly. "You could have turned me in." "Claimed the estate as payment." William shrugged, plotting their jump coordinates. "I collect debts, not people. Besides, if that data crystal is real, we're both going to be very rich very soon." "It's real." Melissa smiled, and William realized it was probably the first genuine smile she'd worn in years. "The progenitor vault is in the Kelvin Abyss, 3 weeks' travel. Then I suggest you get comfortable." William engaged the hyperdrive. "It's going to be an interesting trip." As the stars stretched into lines and the Reasonable Doubt leapt into the dark, William reflected on the strange turn his day had taken. He'd come for 50,000 credits and left with an alien princess, a treasure map, and the beginning of what would become the greatest adventure of his life. Not bad for a Tuesday.